Hey gamers, what is up? Squirrely here. Thank you guys for joining me as always. Happy 2020. I hope you are enjoying the new year and you have some exciting resolutions and you're still playing TF2. You got to keep that going and trading and you're looking to make profit and all that fun stuff. But with new years and new resolutions, there's going to be change, right? Every new year brings a new set of challenges and exciting news, hopefully. But for this hat, TF2, we're talking about bad news. So it's not looking like a good year. 2020 does not look good for the killer exclusive. So this is a really OG god tier hat. It's been around for a long time. It's really good looking. It's paintable. It comes with a bunch of different old school effects, but it's just not doing very well. So in this video, I'm going to talk about this extremely iconic, it used to be very god tier rare hat and why it's crashing through the floor. I don't mean it's gone down 10%. 15%, I'm talking like 30, 40, 50% or more, like crashing hard. So it's good if you like KEs and a discount, but in general, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the killer exclusive, why it's crashing through the floor, why this is good news, it can be bad news depending on how you look at it from a trading perspective, and basically what I think is going to happen with it and why it's happening in general. So hope you guys enjoy. The killer exclusive is a very old school god tier hat. Anyone who's been trading for a while knows that when you used to see this hat in game in a trade server, you're like, oh my gosh, this hat with a really nice effect or a high tier effect, you knew it was extremely expensive. There's lots of collectors out there. It's all class, it's paintable, it looks great, it's just clean and classy, and it's just a nice hat. Like flat out, it doesn't matter if this was high tier or not. If you saw this in game, it just looks really good. I think a really good all class hat is usually one that just looks good on most classes. Like if it looks good on a Pyro, a Scout, an NG, and it's like, if it just looks good on everyone for the most part, it's a pretty nice hat. Now, I've always liked this hat. I think it used to kind of battle it with the Crohn's Dome as far as really rare high tier hats back in the day, all classes. And also the Burning killer exclusive used to battle it out with the Burning Team Captain. I had talked a video about the death of the Burning KE and his iconic figure just falling off the map, and it's no longer challenging the TC for the #1 spot. But doing some more research, I found out it's not just the Burning KE, it's not just the Scorching KE and the other god tier, just pretty much all of them. So let's open backpack.tf and just see what's going on, what's the market look like, what does the future look like for killer exclusives and trading. Opening up backpack.tf, you can just see, this is just a nice snapshot to see exactly what's going on. A lot of times you can look at here just to see how old prices are for hats. Are things generally going up or down? So I'll give you a little bit of time to look at it, but you can see when you see this little triangle, like this warning sign, it just means it's an old price. Like it's outdated, it's been a long time since it's been updated. And if you kind of just scroll through here, you can see a lot of them are either outdated or going down. So when a price is really outdated, they wait for enough sales to happen, then they'll update them. So a lot of these prices are going to get updated, but you can see there's some pretty nice effects on here that are already lower than you would think. Like Circling Heart KE used to be worth, 300, maybe 400 keys. Now that's down to less than 100. A lot of other like higher tier first gens and even like middle tier effects are a lot cheaper than you would think. So most of them have either gone down or they're in this kind of middle area where they need to be priced and updated. So let's look at the ones that are being suggested to get priced for a new update. Let's go through here. So these are the active ones. They have not gone through yet, so this isn't guaranteed that they're going to go through. But a lot of times, if you just do a quick research, you can see how many sales, if it looks legit, and the chances are that it's going to go through. So it looks like most of these have a good chance of going through. But you can see, we're starting off with Aces High. It's going to make a drop. Not a big one. It's already a very cheap hat, very cheap effect. But it's going to make a drop. Going down, though, to here, though, the purple killer exclusive is like, really, it's going to get priced maybe at like 125, 130 something? That seems really low for a KE first gen high tier effect. That's like, what? Same thing, Haunted Ghost is going from 230 down to 160 or so. That's a big jump. Over here, Sunbeams, now we're getting into the higher tier effects, going from whatever that was, 700 something keys to 450, so almost cut in half. Then we look at Scorching. Scorching is going from 900 something keys to, look at that, that is crazy. That's going to be, I don't know, 430 or something keys. That's a huge drop. Same with the Burning. Look at the Burning going from 400, or 1400 keys or something like that. That's going to drop down to, 950 or 970 or something. A very big drop. Same with Stormy Storm, Blizzardy Storm, Frostbite. Like, you kind of get the picture. Looks like Frostbite isn't dropping as hard as the other ones, but you get the idea. Most of them are dropping pretty low. Let's also look at just the listings, because this gives you an idea of like how much people are selling for, what they're looking for. So Burning KE, if you could take a time machine and look at the buy orders, there were some people paying a lot, like almost full price, because it was such a fancy, rare item that people wanted. Now they're looking at how many. There's so many for sale, and they're looking for like 950, over 1200. It's definitely not going to happen. The price suggestion is sitting here, and it's probably going to go through eventually. And once it does, people are probably going to lower their prices again and again and again. But having 4 burning KEs on the market is kind of crazy. Not to mention there's probably some on Marketplace, there might be some on other classified listings or on Steam Community Market. If they're clean, that helps a lot, but that's just kind of wild. Same with Scorching. Scorching has 4 of them for sale, and people aren't looking to pay a whole lot. So even for a clean one, people are only looking to pay 250-something keys, which is not a good sign. Suggestion is here again. That's a very big drop. You can see some of the sales they posted on here. Another high tier effect, Sunbeams. I used to think of Sunbeams KE, if you painted it white or black, looked really nice and simple and clean. See on here, there's one guy already looking for a freshly unboxed one, only 450 keys, and that's pretty much what it's going to be priced at. Having a strange one will help, but it's definitely not going to double the price. Same story, people are not looking to pay that much for Sunbeams KE. One of them that is probably going to do okay, this one's not, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Purple Energy, same old story, it's dropping pretty low. I mean, you're looking at almost like 40-50% drop there, and there's a ton of them for sale again on the market. One of them that's not going to do bad is the old school Halloween effects. As usual, they're staying strong or going up, or they've already gone up, whatever the case is. But this is obviously a meme post. He's not looking for 6,000 keys or whatever. But you can just see the history over here. It had no price, 770 keys, and it's gone up again. When this gets sold again, it'll probably be 1,500 keys, 1,700 keys, who knows? Maybe 2,000 keys when it gets priced. But the old school Halloween effects seem to be safe. Same old story. They're going up in price. But everything else seems to be going down, like dramatically. Every time it gets priced, it's going down. It's like, where is the bottom? Where is this going to stop? So why exactly is this happening? How can a hat go from God tier and rare, and it's very popular, and traders are fighting over, and everyone's collecting them, and there's not that many for sale, to there's a ton of them, they're all dropping in price, except for, a couple rare effects or collector's items, or the Halloween effects, but aside from that, the other 90% are just like falling through the floor. There's a lot of reasons. I'm sure you can think of some off the top of your head, but one of the main reasons is just there are a lot that exist. So if you remember when I posted up giving you a snapshot of all the different effects, it's not like there's 1 or 2 of a lot of them, or 3 or 4. It's like 15, 20, 30. Like of a lot of the effects have multiple hats. So there's just a lot that exist. And at this time, I think a lot of traders who've had a KE are just thinking about selling it. A lot of the people who used to like the KE and own the KE are old school traders because it's an old school hat. It kind of takes a unique taste to trade killer exclusives. Kind of like the old school Crone Stones. Like if you saw that, an old school trader would be like, wow, that's super nice, and how'd you get it? To newer traders, they might be like, man, it looks cool, but there's a lot of hats, so why do I want this one? So a lot exists, and there's just a lot for sale right now. That's part of it. The other thing, like I was saying, is just they're old school effects. A lot of them have old effects, first gen, second gens, some third gens out there. So the older Halloween effects and the more rare effects are probably going to do fine, like I said. But the fact that there's just so many, even if it's a god tier or high tier effect, a first gen, burning, scorching, whatever, there's just too many, and you don't really get any variety. So, I mean, like Frostbite and some of the other newish Halloween effects are like the best that they got. Aside from that, I mean, you don't really have any of the new effects that have come out. And it's not that a new effect is just inherently worth more, but it makes it a more rare item. So if there's 2 KEs with like, the sparkling lights or some other newer effect that came out, it would make it instantly more collectible, more rare. People would go for it, and it would, make it a stronger price. But the fact that they're all kind of the same prices and they're all kind of the same old school effects doesn't help its case. Back in the day when there just wasn't that many hats and there wasn't that many all-class hats in general or multi-class hats, it was like the hat to go for. It was like that, the Killer Exclusive, the Brotherhood of Arms, which didn't have that many effects, and that was super hard to get. There's a lot of them that just didn't have that many effects on them. It wasn't unboxed very much. And the Team Captain, which is just super expensive, and a lot of people didn't even bother with it. So there wasn't that many hats back in the day when these were really at their peak, and people would hold on to them and collect them and fight it out, and you kind of got in these bidding wars and was raising the price all the time. So it doesn't have that aura of like being old school and fancy and nice, because a lot of traders are new. I'm sure a lot of traders watching, maybe some of you guys have been watching this video, like, yeah, I've seen that hat, but it's not that god tier. It's not that fancy or expensive, and I don't even know what you're talking about. So unless you've been around for a long time, you might not even know what I'm talking about. That this hat used to be so expensive, and it was like very iconic, and anytime you would see one, it was like, wow, this guy has an unusual KE. Now it's kind of like they're all pretty fairly priced. They're cheap to really cheap, so it's not a big deal if you see one anymore. Finally, and last but not least, I think newer traders and people who just haven't been around as long in the trading community when the KE and other old school hats were more popular, is that they're just a little bit more open-minded. People, it seems like the trend is people aren't really against trading for newer effects and newer hats, and they kind of don't mind taking a risk, especially now with different tiers of items. You know, you can have something be assassin grade or elite grade. People, I think, are a little more interested in buying things because they might become more rare or more expensive over time, or just because they look nice in general. Back in the day, the KE was kind of like all in boxes and all hats were just kind of on an even playing field. So more of them were unboxed in general, and the only reason they were rare is because people just collected them and kind of held on to them. Now, nicer hats can actually be rare because of their higher tier or whatever. So the tiers have their own kind of dilemmas that come with them, but technically you can find a really nice effect on a really nice hat, and maybe only 2 or 3 are unboxed, or 4, and that's it. Back in the day, if there was a really high tier hat, maybe 20 or 30 were unboxed, so that's another part of it. But yeah, like I said, it's just part, I think, of the trend. Newer traders a little bit more open-minded. They don't mind trading newer effects and kind of flip them or maybe sit on them for a while. Back in the day, the old school thing of, you know, stick with first gens and stick with old hats and stick with the classic hats doesn't really apply anymore, which I think is probably okay. So is this technically a bad thing when you see a really iconic hat or item in TF2 just falling through the floor and the price just seems to keep crashing and crashing? Now, a lot of people, when they see, you know, the Burning Team Captain or KE dropping in price, they immediately think this is bad, TF2 is dying, trading is dying, the economy is crap. But there's another way to see this as well. It could just be that things are changing. People are evolving. Like I said, there could be a trend of people just more open-minded to newer hats, new effects, and they're not really into the really, really old school stuff, which is totally okay. So if you like killer exclusives or old school hats or certain effects, it's actually great because you can buy a Burning KE for half price, or, you know, a Purple Energy or a Sunbeams or whatever, Cloud9, or pretty much any effect you can think of that's an older school effect. You can find it now on a KE for much, much cheaper than you could before. And like I said, it's just a nice looking hat. In general, it's clean and classy. It kind of gives you that vibe of the old days back in the original TF2 trading era. But it's not all bad. It's just evolution and change. People are more open-minded. They don't mind trading nicer hats, newer effects. And to be fair, there's a lot of good-looking hats now in TF2, so there's just so many. Why stick with the same old if you can trade some of the newer stuff? So not a bad thing. Alright, well, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys for joining me as always. Let me know what you think down below in the comments about this drop pretty much across the board for the killer exclusive. I don't know how much lower it can go. It seems like it just keeps going lower and lower, but eventually it will bottom out and people will just hold on to them because it's so cheap. It's like, why resell it? Just enjoy it. So let me know if you guys have ever owned one, you've ever wanted to own one. A lot of old school traders have probably owned one at one time. And if you're newer to trading, maybe you never even owned one or you haven't even seen them that much. But it's a really old school hat. It's got a lot of history with TF2, which makes it kind of special. But thank you guys for joining me as always. I will link you down below to my Steam group if you want to join that so you never miss a new video and you can be part of my giveaways and all that fun stuff. And like I said, this is YouTube. If you want to show support, you know what to do. Things are going really well. We're climbing that subscriber mountain. So on to new things. Have a great one. Until the next video. Peace.
I'm just letting you know, I'm trying to afford my first unusual. That's why I'm here. I only have one key. Thank you, Squirrely, for giving me the key. You will always be remembered in my Steam account.
Squirrely, what the hell? You haven't added me back, bro.